try this again. Third
All
time's a charm.
right.
Welcome
Welcome
to A Head and Heart,
the
the
podcast.
where
We are sipping and spilling the tea.
That's right.
Although today we are tealess and
Yes,
keeping it real.
We're keeping it real. Got my water. I'm
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm
we're
here.
here, and we're still spilling the tea.
We're still spilling the tea. Okay, so if it's okay, I think to open and to ground us in this conversation, I would like to play one of my pleasures, which is Florence Welch, Florence and the Machine, free, because I feel like it is a wonderful example of my body and mind and spirit right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say female energy in general right now.
I don't want to speak for everyone else, but I'm just saying.
I'll speak for me.
It is giving me life right now, and I love her art, her music, the way she shows up, the way she sings, her lyrics. Meet me in the fields, and so I asked Beth if it was okay if that's how we open today. So if you are not familiar, and maybe this will be an introduction. And if you want to join us and just,
wiggle, sway, shake, breathe, whatever.
Right? Don't over control it. Just let it move you in any way that feels
natural,
like how it meets you.
Yeah.
In a moment. Okay. Alexa, play Free by Florence and the Machine.
Free and similar songs on Amazon Music.
Alexa, volume 5.
Sometimes I wonder if I should be medicated. Rather feel better just like these sedated. Feeling comes so fast and I cannot control it. I'm on fire, but I'm trying not to show it. Picks me up, puts me down, picks me up, puts me down, picks me up, puts me down. I'm a good time today. Picks me up, puts me down, shoots me up, spits me out, picks me up, puts me down. I'm always running from something, pushing back, but it keeps on coming and being clever. Never gonna be very far. Because it's all in my head. Feelings with sensitive faces. I said okay, but let's discuss this at the hospital.
Pick me up, puts me down, picks me up, puts me down. Oh, yeah. So if you don't, oh, Alexa, stop. If you are not familiar and you liked that, Florence and the Machine, free. She's got some doozies. Another one of my favorites of her when I'm feeling kind of fiery and in my is King.
Oh, okay.
It's a good one. It's a good one for me. It's a good one for me. Oh, so
well, let me just put a plug in there that music is such a great resource, right? And it's one of the ways we can move emotion through our body.
Yes.
And it's one of the ways that we share that we love to move emotion through our body. So,
and so it was like, even just sitting here, like, not like that song does make me want to dance, but it also is, it's so, the lyrics are really powerful again to me. And so it's just kind of letting that move through with the sound, the vibration, even just gentle movement has a way of, and she talks about in the song, right? Like when I hear music, when I'm dancing and I feel free, like it has a way of doing that if you meet it.
Yes.
So we'll start with the resource, continue to plug that one all the time. Movement in that way is so delightful. And I do think it helps us, and just like I have even several times over the last couple of weeks, like I'm just thinking of this, but it's come up that we're so rigid and structured. It's like, how can we find, you see people and they're just walking like with this like flow. And I think there's something to allowing ourselves spaces where we don't over control our movement and we just kind of let it be moved. We let our body lead. And I think music and dance is a way that we can do that.
Oh, I so agree.
Yeah.
So one of my sweet clients this year, that was one of her goals, right, for 2026 as a very young woman, but she told me that she wanted to demonstrate whimsy and unapologetic whimsy. If she wanted to bust a move in the middle of the quad, she wants to do it without worrying.
Yeah.
And I thought,
yeah, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, we'll let that kind of lead us into our conversation today. I told Beth before we started, it's like, as we get into the content for today, I think you will hear my continuation of my pee from last month. So I'm not going to lean heavy into my pee right now. And instead, I'm going to, if it's okay if I go. Okay. Yeah. I want to share, like, the song was a pleasure for me, so I wanted to share that, but also my flowers are starting to bloom. I love it. It's like giving me so much joy. The color pops that are coming up. Spring does this, right? But it really is like, I do not know how to explain how much life it gives me to walk outside and see something that you've planted, something that you've put a little time and effort into, and then watch it kind of explode in this way of beauty is giving me life.
Yes.
And so, I also sent you something by your text message, I think. Or did I? I might have forgotten. I think I took a picture of it. I may have forgotten. Did I text you? Oh, shoot. Okay.
You sent me a flower.
Well, no, I did send you one of my flowers. One of my pleasures. It was. I'm gonna just wing it on this. It's a pleasure. And I just saw it like right before you were coming over. I was like, "Ooh, this is a good one." The lawsuit recently with Meta and is it Google?
Oh.
These women won. And it's setting the precedent for more lawsuits to follow about how addictive the platforms are, but also there's how it's driving women and young girls one direction towards, some disordered thinking about their bodies and their image, but it's also pushing young men into this misogynistic manosphere. And so it was an outcome that I felt good about.
Okay.
Right?
So
it was a pleasure to see that, because I do think it's going to start changing some conversation. I hope it starts changing some conversation. So that was a pleasure. That was a pleasure. What you got?
Okay. So I put for my peeve that adulting was my peeve this month.
Yes.
So here's what I've written.
Okay.
The responsibilities of work, home, life, all the things, i.e. the mental load, right? Which I think is a great nod to many women who carry a very large mental load in their home, right? But just not being able to visit friends as much as we'd like because of the responsibilities of life, not feeling allowed to get as creative as we want because we have other looming responsibilities. And also the feeling of guilt for resting versus remembering that rest is productive, necessary, and recharging. So, I'm a little bit spicy at times and tend to go full throttle in my Aries energy, but that also means when I fall down, I fall down.
Yeah.
Right. And so reminding myself to rest when I need to, and I don't have to run until I'm burnt out.
So it makes me think about, which is a little bit, I've told anybody who would listen recently, that I'm a little in a struggle bus right now. And hearing you say that is kind of what I'm like, this is the work of our lives. We know this, and we still have to work on these things. Like, you know that rest is important.
Absolutely.
You know that rest is necessary. You preach it. That's what you prescribe. It's like, we know this, and we still have to remind ourselves. And it's not, though, it's not a failing, right?
No.
Like, it's the system. It's the systems that are built that it's almost impossible. This is where I'm struggling, right? Like, it's impossible. I do all the things, and it still sometimes feels impossible.
Yes.
To just, I don't know, be a functioning, empathetic human being.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It's hard.
So that's what I put as my peeve. And then my pleasure is actually, you said it out of your mouth, taking my own best advice.
Okay, yeah.
So falling back on my favorite coping skills, grounding and recharging through intentional rest. I put the medical support in my life. Low iron can ruin your life. Yeah. End quote. Spending time with family, laughing with friends, travel, time outdoors, earth, water, wind, reigniting my Aries fire.
Love it.
But I'd like to add to that, as we kind of prepped between this week and last week, that my other pleasure is these wonderful women that I've surrounded myself with, yourself included. These beautiful love lifters in my life that help me remember who I am, what my why is, and remind me, to take a step back into my core values when I'm getting spicy and wild. Right. And so that's really my extreme pleasure as we prepped, talking about, Women's History Month. Like, I just feel really grateful for the beautiful, amazing women in my life.
100%.
How about that?
100%.
You're one of them.
Thank you. You're one of mine too. I agree. It's like, I have been so uplifted by women that in my friends, and it's been as I've gotten older, like even more important to kind of cultivate and recognize, and the mutuality and of care between my women friends. My friends. And it does give me life. It has actually been the ground on which I stand this last year. Will not lie.
Same.
And maybe the year before, but this last year, like, for sure.
Right?
For sure.
So I just think that, while, last time we talked a little bit more about like women who maybe stand in front of other women, this time I really want to hone in on like, gosh, the women that support other women just because.
Yeah.
And without there having to be competition or imbalance in the relationship, just the reciprocity of love.
Yeah, I was thinking on that too. Like, what is it about women? Like, what is it that for me, it's like this, there's this thoughtfulness, that is just different. It's like that they see sometimes you before you see you, you know, like, or even like I was talking to somebody the other day who's planning a baby shower, and it was like the details that we put into things, but not just like in the decor of the details. It's like the caring for the whole process, the process of the food and the, yes, the decorations, but it's like the decoration because it meant something to someone else, and because they knew that if they saw that, it may spark something, right? Like it might spark this like joy that, you know, like whether they may not even bring that up, but the thought process behind why I chose this thing,
this intentional
thing to be part of this gathering. And then it's like, but just making sure that everybody is cared for and, received and seen and heard, and I don't know, there's just like this care.
Yes, right. That is just, you know, and I love so many of so many men in my life. I'm not saying that, right? But it's just a different feel. And the word that keeps coming up for me as we talk about it is just nurturing. Yeah. Like there's just a feeling of nurturing that is different. Yeah. In these friendships with other women. And I think the older we get, it feels so much more important to me. Yeah, and I'm not that it wasn't important when we were young, but it's just different. Yeah.
It's just different. Or it's like we maybe, I don't know, like we recognize as we get older, that we're deserving of care, and that we receive it.
Yes.
Right. Like so that we can see it and that we can receive it. Yeah. So it's like maybe when we're younger, maybe we didn't feel that need to receive. Like you're just in a different space. Yeah. I don't know, but it's like you get to a certain point and it's like, you know what? I need to be held. I need to be cared for. I need to be seen. I need to be heard. I need to be valued. Yeah. And women have a way of doing that for each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's my pure pleasure for this month is just like feeling in gratitude as I prepped for this of like, man, I've got some really badass women in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, well, I know you took some notes. I took random notes. We didn't, again, as always, we didn't really prepare. We're just kind of like, here's what I'm thinking. You had mentioned like something that inspired you, or
so I was kind of inspired as I was thinking about that, about like who have been those people in my life, right? And so I started out with looking at a notable social worker, and then that took my brain somewhere else. So let me tell you about Jane Addams first, okay?
Tell me about her.
So Jane Addams was born in September of 1860. She died in 1935 and lived in Chicago. Okay. She was a social worker, a sociologist, and an activist. Ooh. She was considered one of the founders of modern social work. Awesome. So Jane Addams is very much considered like almost like Sigmund Freud to psychology. Jane Addams is to social work, right? Founder. So she co-founded the Hull House, which served immigrants and the urban poor. And she was a leader in the women's suffragette movement, labor reform, and public health initiatives. Love it. She was a prominent peace activist during World War II and wrote writings about democracy and social ethics. 20 years at Hull House, so a little bit of her experience there. And then her last piece was called Peace and Bread in a Time of War. So she did get some pushback though. Okay. And that's the other part I want to mention is that even when we're way ahead of our time, we can get pushback in the moment, but we can also get pushback in retrospect.
Right.
Okay. So pushback. She was criticized by more traditional women of her time who believed women should remain in domestic roles and that social reform work was unfeminine. It wasn't women's work.
Oh, wow.
So she faced intense backlash, even from other women's groups, for her anti-war stance, as many supported nationalism during World War I. So Jane Addams was practicing what we would now call trauma-informed care before the language even existed. She emphasized the environmental context of poverty and oppression over individual blame or moral failing. She created safe community-based spaces like Hull House. She valued dignity, voice, and empowerment of marginalized populations, and she understood that behavior is shaped by lived experience, core to a trauma framework, right?
Yep.
In modern terms, she worked for social detriments of health and relational safety. Jane Addams represents institutional change, the birth of social work, and community-based healing. Right? So some of the things that she is criticized now for, right, by current social workers is kind of this idea of helping versus saving, right? The women who were doing social work at the very beginning of this field, they didn't have a code of ethics. They didn't have a big boundary, set up. So she is criticized in some ways now because of that. But I don't think we should take away how progressive she was.
Okay, so help me on that. So that what they're saying is that she had a savior, more of a savior complex than an assisting someone to be empowered to do.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. But if we look at the model at the time,
right?
Really the only people that were helping underserved populations were churches.
Right.
And so the only model was kind of almost this enabling model. Well, here, we'll give you these things and it'll help you, right? And so she's a little bit criticized because she was, had this house and had all these people living in it and maybe, was also there. So, but I think what you used the term earlier, what an unruly woman in the best way, right?
Yeah.
Like what a challenger to the system, right? And so as I really pieced that out, I started thinking about all these amazing mentors that I'd had in my career, right? Some good, some bad, right?
Yeah.
We've all had both, right? And I just think about all these women who taught me what it meant to be a social worker. And what that really meant was advocacy, right? And fighting for human rights, for the self-determination of every individual. So, I have a couple of shout outs that I would give to the Women's Hope Center in Lexington because that's where I really cut my teeth. And I had such an amazing group of women there. It was all women. And I was a little baby social worker that was just held and loved and mentored by all of these powerhouses that now I pay forward in my work. So again, I just feel really grateful this month about cool women in my life.
That's so great.
Okay.
Well, I think just to kind of kick back to the challenge or the pushback, right? Like, again, we're not it's not perfection that people no one is perfect.
Progress, not perfection.
Right, it's progress, not perfection. And when you are working from the ground up, it's where you're figuring it out as you go. And of course there's going to be, the yoga practice teaches you that too. It's like we're learning our boundaries, right? Like how far we can push something or not to find what feels like the right amount of balance. And so when you don't have anything to work with and you are blazing a trail,
when you're the first one, it's not easy.
Going to be perfect.
Let me see if I left anything else. So really, I think just there was moral courage, right? Like we're looking at the fact that despite all obstacles, a woman said, no, people in the community need to be treated better. And I think that that's really what inspires me about Jane Addams, right? And that's what inspires me about all the women in my life.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I didn't go with a specific person. I just I have been, the algorithm just kind of feeds what you're kind of into, and it's been Women's History Month. And so all of my content that's popping up has been like lighting me on fire. And so I've been taking like jotting things down to be like, okay, this is why, this feels so important. There's so much happening in the world, and why I feel like we need to stay engaged with what is happening in the world and what has happened in the past.
Yeah.
And so I have so many things that I thought we could just kind of riff off of. But I want to just kind of go back and say, because when I started, because it's kind of a peeve, I don't know, like kind of where I am in my life, but I'm struggling a little bit. Okay, I'm struggling with trying to determine how much of my rage and anger and sadness is justified. Okay, like the way, like how much of it is because what is happening in the world, how much of it is that I am at the age that I am and my body is chemically and biologically going through some changes.
Yes.
Right. And so I'm being very open with that about what people, anybody who's willing to listen and talk to me, because I feel like we just don't know. We're living in a really interesting time.
Yeah, we are.
Right? Women have not been studied, have not been the point of research for most of our existence, and now we are, and that is wonderful. But now we are, and so we're figuring it out. We're figuring out how are we supposed to take care of ourselves, right? Like there's not this is the way we need to do it, right? And so what's going in my mind right now is like, okay, I'm trying to figure out, because I don't want to lose my connection to my emotions or my feelings. Like my feelings, like learning to be in my body and let my body and my feelings have really brought some of the most significant change in my life. And so the thought of, like, I get emotional, the thought of that, like muting that, like,
it's devastating. Does
not feel
right
at all like what I want to do. But anyway, so it makes me think about, I told her, like, it makes me laugh. And I'm like, something popped up on my feed, and it was like, oh, wasn't that long ago when women were getting lobotomies. And I was like, oh my God, this is part of my rage. It's like, I am at the age, right, where these things are happening. I'm becoming what I said, an unruly woman. I am becoming this unruly woman. And an unruly woman in a different time period, right? We talked about last time.
Yeah.
Like, so could have been burned at the stake for standing in our power, right? So I was like, what is up with this lobotomy thing, right? Like, is that true? So I was like, let me look that up.
It is.
So I have a few things that I just wanted to share about that.
Tell us about lobotomies.
So, just first, I wanted to say, just based on like hormonal changes and where I am in my, as a 48-year-old woman, right? Trying to navigate how much of this is, because I'm very cyclical. So I am very aware of how my emotions match up with where I am in my cycle.
Yeah, you are.
So anyway, uterus, the Greek word uterus means hysteria. Okay. Yeah. So just keep that little nugget of information. That is living in my brain. Okay. And then between the time frame of 1930 and 1950. Okay. So that is not that long ago, I don't think.
Nope.
Okay. Lobotomies were widely used. Okay. 60% of lobotomies patients were women. Okay. Even though the majority of the psychiatric patients were men.
Yeah, that's very true.
Still 60% of this surgery was happening to women. And so I wrote this down. Passivity and lifelessness were the results of that passivity. What's that word?
Passivity.
Okay,
yeah.
Passivity and lifelessness, I have that in quotes, were the results of a lobotomy. Traits men saw as ideal for women.
Yeah, it made us agreeable and compliant.
Yes. And so then the other note I wanted to put down for that is Walter Freeman, a key figure in the popularization of lobotomies, advocated for them as a means to turn women into decorative housewives, emphasizing their social role over their well-being. Women who were deemed too troublesome, in quotes, or who deviated from social norms were subjected to this surgery, often without their consent.
Yes.
And so it also went on to say, of course, more women and marginalized people.
Yeah.
Right.
So let's just have a little side chat about what a lobotomy is, right? Okay. So in the early days, they would take 2 pins, basically like metal pins, surgical instruments, and stick them up your nose into your prefrontal cortex, which is why it's a prefrontal lobotomy. Yeah. And they'd scramble them around a little bit and pull it out. So this part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, is where our decision making, like it's where the majority of our brain function is, that is in consciousness. So they were quite literally making women agreeable.
Right. And so like somewhere in my body, right? Like I didn't have access to all of that information. I knew what a lobotomy was, and I knew that it had some ties to being more for women, right, than men. So I was like, there's something in it, like there's some resistance to this. And the fact that then I'm like, okay, uterus means hysteria. It's like when I know that when women were like going through the change, like that's what people say, that they're going great.
Well, if we even go back to like the founding of psychology, right? Sigmund Freud had 3 diagnoses: neurotic, psychotic, or borderline, right? He would also claim that women were experiencing hysteria. That's if they were neurotic or psychotic. So the predominant amount of his patients, and many patients in the early days of psychology, were women that we were trying to get to be compliant.
Right. So gross. Okay, so I'm up in my feels about it. Okay, yeah. Women History Month, this is like what's going through my brain. So that was one of them. Like, I just want to put it out there. I like to talk about that. Like that I'm like navigating this, the weight of the world is a lot for me. Like, I mean, it's for so many people. And like, what are my options here as I'm navigating these changes? Am I going to choose, hormone replacement therapy or not?
Yeah.
Right. Like, to me, there's
what
a part.
What do I choose? Yeah.
What I choose? It's a choice, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we have the choice. It's amazing. But even within my circle of people that I'm talking about with, which is just about anybody who's willing to have a conversation with me about it, there's so much confusion
and difference of opinion. Yeah.
Confusion. And in all of the people that I'm talking to, at least of late, are people that, right, I know take this seriously and are like
grounded resources
and using their resource and like finding really grounded resources. And even in that, it's just like,
we're
not quite sure. I mean, there's some solid things. Anyway. All right. So that was one thing that's weighing on me. And then I wanted to just go through a few things that, so we can think, just staying on the women's and celebrating women, right? So we can thank women for the 40-hour work week, even though I wish it was even less than that. But the fact that it is even 40 hours, because it was more than that, is thanks to women putting in the work, okay, to make that happen.
Okay.
The anti-lynching movement was led by women, and the United Farm Workers movement. Can't even read my own handwriting. So some things that I just thought were like, you may not associate with women, but women were at the forefront of making these changes.
Pretty cool.
Which is amazing. And so, okay. So the Gates Foundation has noted that women have 2/3 of the rights of men in the workplace today. And that there is no country that provides equal opportunity for women. Like, not a single country provides equal opportunities for women. And so I just there's so many things that I'm going to walk through.
I think it's a little daunting even to hear that, right? Yeah. Like, you know, I don't know about you, but I was raised by a woman who was a staunch feminist, right? And my perception of where we were in the world was so much more progressive maybe than where we actually are now. Yeah. And so I think just even hearing that, it like kind of knocks you back, right? Like, there's no country where we have equal rights in the workplace.
I mean, I know. This is like the way it's like, oh my gosh. But this is why it's so important that we continue to be educated and to know like what is happening, not just in the world, because we are, like somebody said to me yesterday, well, you're just such an empath. You gotta set these boundaries. And this is a hard one for me because you do. I do set boundaries. I do all the work. And I am of this mindset, like yoga, union, yoke, one, like the Buddhist philosophy, like we are one. So it's like when there is suffering,
all suffer.
We are all suffering. And it's like, of course we can't get sucked all the way down into it, but it's like, it is
still palpable.
It's very palpable. And it's what are we going to do about this?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Stay educated and recognize that these things are happening. The more people who are paying attention and are willing to just like
have these discussions.
Have a discussion. Yeah. Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel to hear that? Like, it's a little disheartening.
It is.
And we've come a long way. We'll keep going.
Progress, not perfection.
Progress, not perfection. Okay, so let's see. What all have I written down here? These are just some things to make you think and to say, on one hand, you're like, wow, okay, we're here now. But it wasn't that long ago. And it's like not a one and done. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, just because we have access to something now, right? We know today that that's not the case because things can happen where we shift and we're rolling things back.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So
well said.
I'm just going to read a few of these and we'll just kind of side note off of them. Let's see. I'm going to go back to that one. Actually, I'm going to start on this one. I wish I was more organized, but I'm not. Okay. This one. Okay. Women could not get a credit card without a man until the year 1974.
So Julie shared this with me. I don't know. We talked about this about a month ago or something, I feel like. But then it occurred to me, oh my gosh, that's why my grandmother was so intense and proud about her credit cards that had her names on them.
Yeah, of course.
Like, how did I not know that?
Right.
And how did I not know that that was such a big deal, right? Like that Macy's card meant so much to her, right? Yeah. There was a reason why.
Right. And we take, some of these things that we take for granted.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, it really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. I can't imagine having to go get my husband to apply for a credit card.
Right.
Like that.
Right. So we've made strides.
Alert. Yeah.
We've made strides. But right. So we're not there today, but we're not there because women have said, oh, wait, this isn't okay.
This isn't
okay. All right. No fault divorce only became available nationwide in 2010. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So before that, you had to have reason
to
divorce. And the reason most often was abuse, right? Which is, of course. However, whatever. I don't like you anymore.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Right?
So this doesn't have to be abuse for us to choose to leave.
We just want to leave. We want to leave. It's okay. So that one kind of knocked my socks off too. 2010. And and I'm sure some of these things, but this is the sticky part. Like some of these things probably, it didn't matter. Nobody's really holding it to account. But somewhere
in a court of law, somebody was, or it wouldn't have been overturned.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Oh gosh, it just makes my skin crawl. Okay, until 1978, which is the year I was born. So again, not that long ago. Until 1978, women legally could be fired for getting pregnant.
And, you know, even in our current day and age, I know a lot of women who will not disclose that they are pregnant at an interview in the fear that they will not get a job.
100%. And I loved when I saw this, like the conversation around it too, was around how, so go back to where you were saying how women judged her for, what was it, in the social work field?
Yeah,
she was
like,
judging her for doing something like we
it was
like a more
men's-
traditional,
yeah.
right? So the conversation around when I was reading this was more about, like, was also about how when you know this is true, like the psychology of, if this is just the law of the land, then when we say things like, oh, we would rather be at home and have our babies, it's because we were forced to, and it just became normal. And so that normal, like, it, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can,
it's
see
almost like a social
construct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like something that we've almost had to endorse as well to survive.
Yeah. But it's like a subconscious
Yeah.
thing. It's like they're saying it, but it's like you're saying that because it's been forced upon you.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
You're not recognizing that you don't have say in that.
Yeah.
You're saying it because it feels normal, but it's, does that make sense?
Yes,
okay.
It does, honey.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So until 1970s, women couldn't attend most medical schools. So kind of back, we'll come over here on this in just a second. So we were talking about the lobotomy and it happening on women. Until the 70s, women could not attend most medical schools. So there's been a century of
male providers,
right, without women's input.
Yeah. Right. And even when you were talking about the lobotomies, Julie, the thought that came up to me is the same story would be true for ECT, electroconvulsive therapy, right? Like women, and quite frankly, I will share, it is even in my own family history, like women were fried with electroshock back in the day. Now, it is still a practice that is used. It is much more humane now. It is only really used for severe treatment-resistant depression, but it is not like it was, right? I kind of always think about Girl Interrupted, and I think it's Angelina Jolie's character when they're taking her back to the facility. She says, I won't do the shocks. I won't do the shocks, right? And that, because of my family story, right, that always really hit me very intensely. It's like, so if a woman is crazy, we're just going to shock her to death.
We're going to shock her or jumble up.
And we're going to put something in her mouth while we shock her for her to bite down on. So, you know, the medical field, both, you know, mental health and otherwise, has come a very long way. But when we really look, you know, 1930s, 1950s, there were some pretty barbaric practices going on that women were subjected to.
And the misogyny that's like wedged in that's still alive today, right? And the I mean, which is what we're seeing through all of this, is that it's
it's alive and well,
it's
and kind of making a little bit of a spark of a boom,
of a comeback. And so since we're just this one, it's until the 70s, women could not attend most medical schools. So a century without women's input into their care or their understanding of their bodies. This one said until 1993, okay, women were formally excluded from clinical drug trials.
Gosh.
And then I love, there's a whole thing. Allie Jolie is, I've referenced her in this conversation a couple of times, but she did a whole thing on Substack on, and it was, this quote is, the system wasn't built for women's bodies. and the culture has never known what to do with men's emotions. And I just think it just sums up so much of
that dichotomy
of
where we kind of are missing care for both genders, really.
And she's talking in this article, she was talking about antidepressants because she was saying how they, in the reporting, right, it's equal, but that women are prescribed at a much higher rate than men. And so I just found that interesting too. I just noted something else here. In the U.S., over 200 women have been arrested. I can't even remember in my own handwriting. Have been arrested. What does that say? Related to pregnancies. And there's been 0 arrests since the Epstein files came out.
Oh.
So, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just a little contrast there.
Yeah. 5 times more research on erectile dysfunction than there is on endometriosis.
Okay.
And that study too was talking about, or that Substack was talking about how endometriosis, it takes years, like there are years before they will give this diagnosis, and the suffering that women go through. And then, that this also had a tie to the how there's not research on women and women's bodies, and how one of the solutions, that's not the right word, was like, just get pregnant, that's going to solve it. Like, that was one of the conversations, like that apparently doctors, I don't have an endometriosis, so I don't know that, I haven't suffered with that, but it's like that was one of the things that they're like you could do. But then even in the research for this, a lot of the studies that were titled, and they all had to do, not all of them, but a big chunk of them had to do with how does it affect men? How does women suffering from endometriosis, how are their symptoms, whatever, how are they affecting men? And so there's so much.
Well, the one thing that, you sharing this about the medical parts really brings up for me is a conversation that I've had with our medical provider about IUDs, right? And how...
Oh my God, don't even get me started.
Okay, let me just crack this open for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Many years ago, I worked at Community Mental Health, and I ran an IOP program for women and men, but predominantly my population was women, mothers who had children that had substance use disorders, that didn't want children removed from their home, helping them get clean and sober. So, a big part of what I talked to a lot of these women about was birth control, right? And I mean, I'm just over here recommending the crap out of birth control, right? Because that's what I've been taught to do.
Right.
Oh, go get you an IUD, honey, right?
Yeah.
Fast forward to, I decided to go get myself an IUD.
Right.
And 2 hours and 3 women's hands inside me later.
Yeah.
I've never been in more pain, right? In the doctor's office, I was cold sweating with a woman's hands inside of me and her saying, I can't get it in quite the right spot. We're going to have to go get another provider. Okay. And so I'm laying on that table thinking, I will never send another client to do this.
Absolutely.
Not all, but a predominant amount of my female clients have sexual trauma. And I am sending them to do this. And it's so inhumane.
It is.
Baby, take you an ibuprofen after?
And I know. So I had the same, I don't know, have we not talked about this? I had a similar experience. But since I have shared my story with people, other people have been like, oh my God, it was terrible.
Yes.
And so the way mine goes is that I had it put in the first time right shortly after Gus.
I do.
Okay.
You have told me part of this.
And I think I was still numb
from
my C-section. And I mean, I don't know if that's a true statement or not, but I kind of feel like this is because had to put in, didn't notice anything. When it was time to take out and redo, I about came off the table, and I was like, what is happening? That was the most uncomfortable thing. And she's like, oh yeah. I'm pretty sure the language was like around the, like, why do we not tell people that? Like, well, they wouldn't do it or something. I'm like, and I'm like, well, that does the trauma-informed care. That is not.
No, I need to know what I'm going to do.
Yes. And so there was recently, I think I was talking to Diane about this recently. It was just recently like recommended that women have that it can be painful and that they do some like preparatory
pain relief.
Oh. Right. But think about the opposite of care when someone has a vasectomy.
Oh.
They're prescribing, they're given all these things. Oh, when you go home, you need to do this. You need to take off time from work. You need to
have you a drink. Go home and have you a drink before you come on in so you're not anxious.
Yeah.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, I just, that was, to me, that has been one of the most shocking things in women's care, right? And even my experience with my IUD, like the symptoms it gave me were far worse than having a period and getting pregnant, quite frankly, for a woman who doesn't want a baby.
Right. So, what I decided to take mine out. And so it wasn't in very long because I was like, and I could have been, who knows, right? Like the mental, whatever. I was like, I just feel like all I do is I feel that thing. It was so uncomfortable. I do not like, there's other ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so I went to have it removed, and you would have thought that and they pulled 2 different people in to talk to me. And one of them basically leading me down if I was depressed. Because I was not following standard protocol.
You weren't agreeable.
Yeah.
You weren't agreeable with your IUD, Julie.
I know, right? It was a moment in time, like a moment on my timeline that has left a mark that made me think that has part of my trajectory of trauma-informed care. Like, this is not.
Yeah, same. It really was eye-opening for me. And like, it changed the conversations I was having with women about birth control entirely. Yeah. Right. And we are all susceptible to those pitfalls. So I just think it's a great example of like where we are now, but maybe where we didn't realize we were. Right.
Yeah. Well, yes. So another thing that I find interesting, and I know this one might be a little controversial, okay? So I'm going to just preface it by saying this is me and my thoughts, okay? So but it is tied into this rage and this women's anger and what do we do with it and where I'm landing in some things. So I read the other day that, and it was from, again, I think I said her name earlier, but Allie Jolie, and she is a psychologist and a somatic practitioner. Okay. Cool. And so I've been following her for a while, and she was talking about Botox.
Okay. Tell me, Julie.
Okay. All right. And so I have been, being a feminist is that we have choice.
Yeah.
Right? We have the choice to do things or not do
things.
I do not judge anyone for the choices that they make. I'm just always trying to be like understanding my whys.
Yes.
Okay? And so I have chosen not to have Botox.
And you've been very honest,
very
vocal
honest
about it with our friends.
And I've been trying to like understand better, like why. One is needles. I'm not a huge fan of needles. Okay. Like that's one of them. But there's also, when I share this was like
it was an aha for you. Oh, can't wait.
So Allie said that Botox, okay, I'm going to take my time saying this because I don't have my notes. I don't have anything down on notes about this. So when we're freezing the muscles, okay, which is what we're doing,
Mm-hmm.
but what are those muscles associated with?
Oh gosh. Facial system, and we're coming down towards our vagus nerve. Yeah.
So but specifically, what are we trying
scowling.
Scowling.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, scowling. So when we are freezing these muscles, it's also, so our trigeminal nerve, which runs through our face, which gives our expressions, like which sends the signal to our brain. So there's what she's saying is that there's studies that show in an MRI that is showing that when you are freezing these muscles, that the receptors that would tell you to be angry, or like it's missing
blocking
the link because it's blocking it. And so
Julie's going to change my mind on Botox today.
I'm not changing your mind. I'm just saying that. So what it feels suppressive, okay? Like it feels to me that, which is also like I'm trying not to suppress. I feel like I want to be angry. I want to be angry and I want to be mad because I feel like it's justified.
You want your full scowl face.
I want my scowl face. But I also know the importance. I've learned the importance of what that signaling means. When I'm angry and upset, I know that there is a boundary that has been crossed.
Same.
And so if I am muting that, then how am I going to know? Like, what else am I going to, like, what, I want to use this vessel as my way forward, not
as it was designed.
As it was designed to like give me the feedback from, and of course there's other ways we can gather feedback. But I don't think I'm willing to sacrifice that one, even if it looks like I'm angry all the time. Like I know I'm not angry all the time, but anyway, I found it fascinating.
I find that really interesting, and it gave me a little shift in perspective there. I'm going to say,
and I do also know, and I'll send you the link where you can read the whole thing. But I do also know that women in particular are using it because of our migraines, and people are getting, and it's helpful, and it is helpful. And so I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that there are ways, a lot of things to look at. Right. There's a lot of things that we can look at. And of course, if we are suffering from, I don't want to suffer. This is where I am in my dilemma. Like, I don't want to suffer. And if there's a way that we can not suffer through our aging process.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Like I'm going to lean in. I'm open. I also don't want to not listen to my body and its wisdom.
Well said.
I just found it fascinating.
No, I find it really interesting, and I think it's I think it's a new way or a new paradigm for me to frame, like, oh, this is a part of this, right? Like there's almost a little bit of you're right, cultural suppression in that.
Well,
it's striking to me.
I thought I'll just read this next thing I have down because it says, and this article was talking about teenagers. Really, it was talking about social media, but it said every time a woman uses a filter, she's training her nervous system to register her unfiltered face as deficient.
Yeah, you are.
And so, we're just we're so invested in the nervous system, and like, I am not about control. I don't want to control it. I don't want to suppress it, but I want to be aware of these things. And we know, and that's why it felt like a pleasure when I said this judging or ruling today about holding them accountable. It said